Have you ever poured your heart and soul into creating the perfect online course only to launch it and run into a brick wall of technical and legal headaches? Or maybe you find out that you're lying awake worrying about the potential for technical and legal headaches. It's a common fear for course creators. Imagine this. You launch your course and then you receive this stern email from someone in the EU claiming your email practices violate GDPR. It's a situation that can cause a lot of stress, and it also has potential legal ramifications for your business. And it teaches us a really crucial lesson. Technical and legal details matter just as much as our amazing content. And no, I am not advocating becoming a lawyer or trying to become some tech wizard overnight. I'm talking about implementing a few key strategies to protect yourself, your business, and your students from potential pitfalls. Because ignoring these details can not only damage your reputation, but also land you in some pretty serious trouble. Now, I just want to say straight up, I am not a lawyer. I am not offering any kind of legal advice here. I am trying to share with you some of the information that I have learned over the years, and I would encourage you to talk with your own legal professionals, accountants, all of those kinds of people that help you keep your business where it needs to be about these topics so that you have a clear understanding about what you should and should not be doing. Because today I am going to walk you through 3 things that you need to take into account so that your course does not get derailed.
Anyone can add a digital course to their business. So what sets the 6-figure course creators apart? You're about to find out. Welcome to the Digital Course Creator Podcast with Dr. Moira, a longtime entrepreneur now using her PhD in psychology to help you go from sticky notes to sales worth celebrating.
We as course creators have a responsibility to create not only engaging and effective learning experiences, but also safe and compliant ones. Ignoring the legal and technical aspects of online course delivery can lead to a host of problems, from legal battles to deliverability issues to alienating a significant portion of our audience. We can't just take a head in the sand kind of approach and hope for the best. Let's say, hypothetically, you receive that GDPR complaint I was talking about. It's not just stressful, it's kind of a wake-up call because it forces us to completely overhaul our email marketing practices, which in the long run makes our business stronger and more ethical. It's much better to not wait for that scary email and to take preventative steps before anything like this happens, because problems do pop up. There are legal ramifications. Non-compliance with regulations like GDPR can result in hefty fines. They can damage our business's reputation. If we are not following good email deliverability things, we end up with poor deliverability. Technical issues can prevent our emails from actually getting to our students' inboxes, our potential students' inboxes. This not just hinders communication, it's going to bring down course engagement. And if you have poor deliverability long enough, that's going to signal to the algorithms that you are not a safe sender and your stuff isn't going to get through. We also know that when we kind of ignore all of these things that are more legal and technical, we can start excluding potential students. For instance, if we fail to make our course accessible, we are alienating individuals with disabilities, which is going to limit our reach, limit our impact, and it's just plain wrong to exclude people. Luckily, we can tackle each of these and more without a legal degree or months and months of time and effort. So let's talk through 3 things that we can do to avoid these problems in the first place. First up, strategy 1 is to think about GDPR and ethical email etiquette. Email is the foundation of online course delivery. Without email, we wouldn't have an easy time sharing our course logins with students. We couldn't send out updates about our courses. We couldn't share the course offer to our interested email subscribers. Think about how often we check our email. A lot of you probably have email right on your phone. I know I do. And we check our email all the time. It's integral to our lives, for better, for worse. But we have to make sure that we handle it responsibly as business owners. Now, if you're in the EU, you're thinking, of course, But here in the US, we don't have as many guardrails in place to protect our email subscribers. Regardless of where we're located, we still need to be ethical and responsible, especially because we are in a global online space. So EU things probably still apply. Imagine the peace of mind knowing that you've set up your email practices correctly from the start. You're not going to worry about legal issues. You're just going to be confident in your communications. That's what we're aiming for. So we want to be sure to obtain explicit consent. Always get clear affirmative consent before adding someone to your email list. Don't just assume because you had a conversation with them that they want to be on your email list. Nothing bothers me more than I have a conversation with someone and we had to set up maybe a Zoom meeting via email, and all of a sudden I am getting emails from them, 18 a day. And I never said I wanted that. Okay, so obtain explicit consent and provide an easy way to opt out. Make it simple for your subscribers to unsubscribe from emails. Now, this is as simple as putting something at the very bottom of every email, an unsubscribe link. And I always put a little message that says, hey, we always love to have you here, but if these emails aren't helpful to you, go ahead and unsubscribe. Just a quick word of warning, if you are a current client of mine, if you unsubscribe, it means I cannot send you email updates anymore. So please be careful. And so it just reminds my subscribers what I can and can't do, and the fact that I only want them on my email list if they want to be there. It should be a voluntary thing. And we want to be transparent. Definitely clearly communicate your privacy policy and how you intend to use subscriber data. So every business should have a privacy policy. As someone is signing up for your lead magnet, a freebie, a paid offer, have that privacy policy front and center so that they can click on it. And I always include a checkbox saying, hey, I understand your privacy policy and I'm good with it. Because that signals to me they have at least acknowledged that there's a privacy policy available. Whether or not they read it, I can't guarantee that because, well, I can't just sit there next to them and say, you should always read a privacy policy before you click yes. But at least I can, with confidence, say, you know what? They said they clicked the box. It was not pre-clicked or checked. They had to check it. That's on them if they didn't read it. I made it available really easily. When we do these three things, when we obtain explicit consent, when we provide easy opt-outs, and when we are transparent with our privacy policies, we are well on our way to making sure that we are following best email practices and that we're meeting the requirements of GDPR. Now, I have not talked a ton about GDPR on the podcast in the past, or really even today, other than it does help us be a little bit more ethical, responsible with our email lists. So if you want to learn more about GDPR, you could check out gdpr.eu, and there's tons of information there. All right, strategy 1, make sure that we are using some really good ethical email etiquette. And that will help us with GDPR. Strategy number 2 is all about email deliverability. We have to make sure that we are following GDPR, yes. But we also have to make sure that the emails we write make it to our subscribers' inbox. Even the best emails are useless if they don't actually get into our students' inboxes. Think about how frustrating it would be if your students missed important course announcements because your email went to their spam folder. In fact, I have been hearing from people that even when someone is replying to an email, it's going to spam. So here's your free tip of the day. Check your spam box. You might be actually getting emails that you need in that spam box. Now, we can avoid some of those issues with some key technical setup things. First up is to make sure you authenticate your emails. Set up DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records to verify that your emails are legitimate. You can clean your list regularly. So regularly clean that email list to remove inactive subscribers and anyone whose emails have bounced, especially more than once. And you want to be aware of spam triggers. So be mindful of your email content, your email subject lines, and avoid the use of spammy language or practices. And you know when it feels spammy. You know. By cleaning your list, let's talk about a few of these things. By cleaning your list, you are deleting subscribers who bounce, they never open an email, and that can be pretty straightforward, as can checking to make sure that you are not using spammy content and email titles. There are checks that we can run to test if our content is viewed as spam. In fact, the email platform that I use, ActiveCampaign, automatically gives me a spam score right when I'm writing emails. It says, hey, does it pass? Does it fail? What's going on? So I can see that right away. The piece here of this strategy is that the authentication process can be a little tricky. DKIM, SPIF, DMARC probably sound like a foreign language. So if you want to learn more about them and you have not yet explored that a whole lot, I do have an article from Cloudflare that is linked in the show notes, so you can check that out. Read more about DKIM, SPIF, and DMARC. There are tons of people out there who can help you set this up. This is something that I always ask my clients about because a lot of times it flies under the radar. And more we are seeing that emails are being kind of subjected to this a little bit more. It's being ramped up a little bit more. So it's even more important than ever to make sure you have DKIM, SPIF, and DMARC taken care of so that your emails are authenticated as legitimate. By committing to updating or upping our email deliverability, what we're doing is automatically improving our company reputation and our potential for growth and success. Now, the third strategy. So strategy 1 was really ethical email etiquette. Strategy 2 was all about email deliverability. And strategy 3 here is all about accessibility. Creating an accessible course is not just a legal obligation in some regions, it's also an ethical imperative, meaning you should do it. Picture the impact that you can have by making your course available to everyone, regardless of their abilities. It's about inclusivity. It's about creating a really welcoming learning environment. And there are a couple of ways we can do this really quickly for the most part. Provide captions and transcripts. Make your video, your audio content accessible to individuals with hearing impairments. We can make sure we use proper color contrast. So we make sure that there's sufficient contrast between text and background for our visually impaired users. We can also implement keyboard navigation. So we can make sure that our course platform can be easily navigated just using a keyboard. Now, obviously, this is just an overview. As you can imagine, there's more pieces to it. There's more details to creating an accessible course and an accessible business as an online creator. And that's exactly why I put together the Accessibility Starter Kit for online creators. I want everyone to have access to accessibility information in a simple, straightforward way so that they can build an inclusive business. And if this is something that's interesting to you, if you are ready to say, yeah, I want to step up my accessibility game, check out the accessibility kit at digitalcourse.pro/accessibility. And I will also put that link in the show notes for you because accessibility is really long to type out, but I will put that link in the show notes for you, digitalcourse.pro/accessibility. Now, if you've been around me for any length of time, you know that I'm really big on taking action. I don't want you to just listen to this podcast today and go on your way. I want you to take action on what you've learned about what we've talked about. This week, I want to challenge you to take action on one of the 3 strategy areas that we discussed. Because remember, I love the concept of progress-driven learning. It means that we learn and then we take action to create progress. But it doesn't mean you have to implement everything all at once. That just leads to overwhelm and we check out. So I know you're busy and it is easy to put these tasks off, but taking small steps now will save you potential headaches and will create a better experience for your students. So choose just one thing this week to take care of. Maybe it's reviewing your email opt-in process and your privacy policy. Maybe it is checking to see if your email authentication settings are all good to go, that DKIM, SPIF, and DMARC are all taken care of. Maybe it is choosing one accessibility feature to implement in your current course, your next course, an upcoming workshop. The key is to take action. And one of the things that I've been thinking about as I was kind of outlining this week's podcast was responsibility for accessibility. It's really easy to feel overwhelmed, to pass the buck, but ultimately it is each of our individual responsibilities to provide accessible resources. The key is to break it down. Don't expect yourself to become an accessibility expert overnight. Just like a child isn't suddenly responsible for all aspects of self-care, we grow into it. We learn how to tie our shoes, we learn how to brush our teeth, to wash our hair, to put on deodorant. We learn all of these things. We learn how to do our laundry, to cook over time. So accessibility is kind of like learning to take care of ourselves. We grow into it. Start with one thing. If captions are easy for you, do that. If you can say, oh yeah, color contrast, I love that concept of making sure there's enough difference between the foreground and the background colors, tackle that. If keyboard navigation just lights you up and you think that would be so cool if I could add this in, do that. Choose something and build. This shows intent and it makes the process more manageable. This is exactly how I built the accessibility starter kit. I build it one piece at a time for y'all so that you can tackle it one piece at a time. By addressing GDPR compliance, email deliverability, accessibility, you have this awesome opportunity to create a course that is not only impactful, but it's also ethical, sustainable, and inclusive. Ooh, that just gives me chills. An impactful course, ethical course, sustainable course, inclusive course. What more could you ask for? Now, if all of this feels like it might be a little bit too hard to juggle and manage with your really busy schedule, I want you to check out episode 229, because in that one, I kind of break down how I set and achieve goals as someone who is not just an entrepreneur, but I'm a busy homeschooling mom, and I'm also a professor who teaches between 8 and 10 classes a year for a local college. I get it. Busy. Lots of things to juggle. And it can be hard to add in additional pieces, which is maybe what this feels like today. So check out episode 229. And remember to check out the Accessibility Starter Kit at digitalcourse.pro/accessibility for step-by-step instructions that you can just implement as you go. And as a bonus, in that starter kit, I actually linked over 30 reputable sources that go into deeper explanations for the topics that are covered, if that kind of thing makes your brain happy. But I have actually simplified everything and just put it into step-by-step approaches for you. But I also gave you all of the resources that went into that starter kit. As always, I just want to thank you so much for showing up, for listening in, and for taking action as a digital course creator. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your entrepreneur friends and colleagues who are building a digital course in their business. And be sure to subscribe to the Digital Course Creator Podcast wherever you are watching or listening to this episode. Until next time, happy creating.